and welcome to our webinar series, our lunchtime webinar series. Please feel free to drop your company name and your information in the chat. We promote business-to-business networking, so feel free to do that as the webinar continues. Please feel free to add any questions you may have in the Q&A box and use the chat for lots of engagement and networking. If this is your first webinar that you're joining, thank you for joining us. If this is your second or third or many webinars, thank you for stopping by again. You can find a lot of our topics and information that we've covered in the past by visiting our website, and that's consultblackswan.com. You can go to the programs tab, or you could do consultblackswan.com/programs. Our goal is always to address topics that you will find useful to your business as business professional. And today will be no different. So our next session will be on operational excellence. So this is where we're talking about improving the customer experience through using collaborative tools. So next time we're going to get a little techie. So make sure you're here on April 1st. It's going to be at noon as usual. My name is Sidoni Naismith, and my company is Black Swan Consulting Inc., which is a management consulting firm that that provides strategic business planning, training, and development, and we also do financial planning and analysis. We support small, mid-sized companies, particularly women-owned, minority-owned, and veteran-owned enterprises. Also in the background, we have Sarah DeBoer-Yort. She is my co-pilot today, and she'll be interacting with the chat and making sure that this webinar goes as smoothly as possible. Now, our program is brought to you today by Black Swan Consulting, Inc. and the MBDA Export Center, which is operated by M. Gill and Associates. Black Swan Consulting is the management consultant firm in Broward County and East Miami that provides technical assistance for small businesses under the MBDA COVID Recovery Initiative. Now, I always like to find out, if you've been to our webinars, you know that I always launch the poll. I want to know your location. Where are you joining us from? So if you don't mind, let us know. We have counties here. So we have Broward County, Florida, Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach County. We have some other counties, other state, other countries. We just want to know where you're joining us from. We'll give it another second or so. I see that we're actually experiencing some more. All right, so I'll end the poll right now, and I'll go ahead and share it. So it looks like we are between, wow. So we have other states, Palm Beach County and Broward County tied at 33%. I love that other states are joining us. This is wonderful. And we have Miami-Dade, of course, as well here. I am launching another quick poll because I want to know as well if any of you have ever been interested in exporting. Do you have a product in mind that you would like to import? And this is so relevant today because of the topic. So I'm going to give it another minute as well. Another second, actually. All right, looks like we're getting more votes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, even though we're getting some more votes. Just one more second. So it's either you know exactly what you want, you have no idea, but you do want to import, and then the other one is that you don't have a product in mind. All right. Thank you for doing that. Share the result. So we have about 31% of you that you know exactly what you want. Great. And then we have people that are interested. They don't have an idea. And then we have the one that, no, I do not have a product in mind, but you're here, which is great because importing is such a great topic. And we always look to share and spread the knowledge. All right, well, thank you for that. Now, on to our program, the reason why you're here, right? Now, I want to remind you that this is your program. This is about you. So please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box so that we can identify them and the presenter will address them. And speaking of presenters, our presenter today is Valentina Morettie. Valentina Morettie is the vice president and co-founder of Samandhel Corporation and serves as the face of the company. She has developed and nourished relationships with clients and has steered the direction of the company as she leads its social responsibility efforts, screening facilities and affiliates to ensure that products and services are sourced, produced, and performed sustainably and humanely. Valentina is an entrepreneur with over 18 years of experience in global business. Previously, she practiced environmental law for 12 years. Additionally, she is committed to community engagement and corporate social responsibility at the local level. She wears many hats and has many accolades. Despite, despite a successful career in law, she decided to develop her own business where she could apply her legal knowledge, passion, and problem solving and intercultural communication skills. Please join me in welcoming to our stage our presenter of the day, Valentina Morettie. Valentina, you can take it from here.
Thank you. That was so wonderful. So I am so honored to be here with you. I'm Valentina Morettie. I am a Venezuelan citizen of American States also. I have my company here in the States for the last almost 15 years. We are so happy to be here with you, sharing some information on how to get ready to get that product from overseas to the United States and start selling. So I have a question. With the pool, 28-30% said that they have an idea. I would love to know what product they have, that idea, and where do they want it to bring them from? Is it Asia? Is it Latin America? Is it Mexico? Europe? So I would love to know while we keep going. Please, I love to be this time with you interactive. So ask me questions, interrupt me, because if you don't, I will just talk and talk and talk because I love what I do. I have a passion for what I do, and I can't say enough about importing and exporting. So the idea right now is to give you some guidance. If we can please share the presentation, we can, oh, here it is, beautiful. So I will be sharing with you some information on how to import. Right now, the international trade, before COVID, after COVID, some changes, more strict. We can stay in the first, that one, perfect, yes. So in nowadays, modern days, in the import industry, it's a really complex web of sales, licenses, distribution, taxes, duties, restrictions, whatever you think of. So it can be a little intimidated, and the idea of today is just talk you through the business basics, the process, some terminology. I'm not gonna go too deep on that because I don't think we need that right now. That can be for another session, another webinar, and then some resources. For those of you who have an idea and they don't know how to start, or maybe to start getting that idea. So we can go to the other slide. Yes. So for the business basic, I thought that we can talk a little about the products, manufacturers, costumes, and the payments. So imagine yourself that one of those little containers is yours and you're ready to start bringing your merchandise to the United States. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So let's start with the product. Let's imagine that before COVID, you did a trip, maybe you did, you went to Spain, you went to Egypt, maybe you went to Mexico, you went to Africa, and you bought an amazing, beautiful purse. It was made by an artisan, a family-owned little business. You came to the United States and then everyone is telling you, asking you, where do you got that? That's so pretty. So the idea starts in your head. Well, I can maybe sell this. The price was great. I made a relationship with a woman. I have her contact, so I can start asking her prices. And then you think, wow, it's great. So you go to another phase. We need to have a market projection, a market evaluation of that product. Is it going to sell really? Do you have a niche? Is it going to be, the price going to be accessible for this country, or what you want to sell it? So maybe you actually don't have any idea. Many of you said there's no idea. So where do we start looking, right? So that's the idea for today. I'm going to try to go over that. So I want to give you 2 pro tips, as I call them, for when you're looking for that product. The first one is, as the slide says, counterfeit products. Costumes, and I want to be very clear with this one, costumes can and will confiscate counterfeits in this country. You will be considered that you're smuggling merchandise into the US and you will be prosecuted. If that product needed a license before, you will be stripped of that license. You will not be able to do more business importing. You don't want to do that. The other tip is brand merchandises. Imagine Michael Kors, Louis Vuitton, Nike, Rolex, whatever, Apple, whatever you think. If you don't have the sales rights, don't bring them, because you will be surprised that you can lose your money and your time and the investments and everything you did. So also for this last one, from the brand merchandise, you will be paying more taxes and duties for that merchandise. So that's talking a little about the products. Let's say you decided to go by yourself. You went to Alibaba, you saw a few products or a few manufacturers that sells or they do the product that you want. So, and this is very, very, very important. And this is what my company, as a procurement company, we do, is due diligence. Because you want to know that that manufacturer is legit. It does exist. It have an address, it have a building, it have workers that they do their product. So due diligence will be something really, really important for anyone who's starting, especially if you're just, it's going to be the first one you're going to do it. You want to make sure that you know that the quality of the product they do is the one that you want for your product. You want to know that they have experience doing that product. And you want to know that they have the experience importing to the country where you want. And this is very, very delicate, because sometimes the quality that they do for a country other than the United States is not the same. So, because we have restrictions, we have protections in this country, which is great. So if they don't do products for the United States, make sure that the quality is what you want them to be. Sometimes, many times, it won't be the same if they do business with Latin American countries or another countries, different than the US. You want to know that about the workforce. So one of the things I do, and this is my human rights lawyer, little lawyer speaking, I want to know that I'm doing business with a country or with a factory that respects human rights too. I want to know that that workplace is being paid for the work, that there's no children force behind it. So what I do, or what my company does when we go and visit a company, is, first of all, if they're going to give me their address so I can go and see. So that's step number one. If that goes well, we meet. Sometimes we meet with the real sales representative. Sometimes we just meet with the owners or managers, and then I ask them, can I take a look of the manufacturer? If they say no, and they explain really well why, and it's something that I can sense that, like, okay, maybe it's not the best time to do it, or maybe they're just doing a process that is not safe for me to see, that's okay. But when there is, you can feel it that it is not right. So I try to go with other factories that I can really go and do that tour, that little visit, and see the installations, see everything inside. And then, and please let me know if I'm going too fast, because I can talk very fast. Let me go really quick and see the chat. So the other thing that you want to know about the manufacturer, it's the capacity of production. So let's say you found your product, we're very happy. We settle in the price, the quality, everything that we're going to talk in a few. And you said, well, I want to buy every month a container. Remember, we're in Asia, we're buying in big quantities. It's not a dozen or 2 dozen, it's like tons. So you want a container, you have a client in the US who is waiting for that container to start reselling, and everything's going better than we thought. And all of a sudden you need 2 containers every month to keep up with the sales. And all of a sudden the manufacturer tells you, no, we can't. So what do you do? So you have to plan in advance and ask what is the capacity of production they have for you, because you want to know that even if you have to go up, you can, and they will be able to do it. So if we keep going with the next, there's the same slide, don't change. No, go back. The other side. How do we know a manufacturer is legit? I gave you, like, if you go in person, you can do that, but you can also do it online. So if we do it online, we can Google it, same way with Google, absolutely everything. You can do it through Alibaba. So what I don't like about Alibaba is many times, it's an amazing platform. I mean, what they have, it's really outstanding. But sometimes you will deal only with third parties. You will not deal with the real company per se, and then they disappear. The third parties, they do one business, 2 businesses, they disappear. There is nothing you can do about it if when you get your merchant side, it's not what you wanted, it's not the quality, no the quantities, and so on. So another way to do it is, as I said, using a procurement company, using an agent that they can go and see that really that manufacturer is legit and it's working and have their licenses and have everything in order. Now it comes communications. How will you communicate with them? So remember, we have at least 12 hours of difference. Emails can get lost in those 12 hours. So you send them today a question, tomorrow they will see it, they will respond, you will see it in 2 days. So by the time you're going to respond, it can be more than 1 day. There is an application, just like as we have WhatsApp, it's called WeChat. And that is the platform for excellence to do business in Asia. You will have your videos, you will have your chat. It goes, very, very easy to communicate. Everyone does it. It's the best way to do it. If you want to adventure and go by phone, that can be tricky. At least for me, I do have an accent. They do have an accent, and then communication can get lost. And you want to make sure that everything you say, everything is in record. So if you do a phone call, there's no way to trace that, right? So WeChat will be my goal to communicate with them. If you have a procurement company, if you have an agent, that communication will go through them, and it's going to be very easy to also track. This company will be working for you on behalf of you. So the other thing that you want to make sure that you have with you before you get that product, it's the quotation. And you want it to be as specific as you can. I mean, you need to know everything about the product. You want to know dimensions, you want to know colors, you want to know texture, you want to even how it smells. I mean, absolutely everything about it. And that have to be in the quotes too. And you need to know how much is it going to cost for your shipping. So let's say you got your quotation, you're selling, I don't know, something is beans, whatever you want, or a watch, let's say. And the price is very good, the quantities is what you want, the quality is perfect. Now you have to also know what are the shipping costs. So you can add those and really see what is going to be the price you're going to be selling. And you have to make sure that also you have your extra costs. What are those? Licenses, taxes, duties, and so on. And I want to show you in a few slices when we do the process, how we can maybe not think of every single cost that it's in the process. And we think, oh, we have it, this is it, it's going to be super cheap. And then those costs that's coming and coming and coming. And then you're going to lose money at the end because you're not going to be able to sell them if they're not in the right price range. Next slide, please. Okay, so here we have a little more of the same product manufacturer items. So we have payments, inspection, the contracts, and the samples. Before you are set with that product, you are going to ask for a sample. They're going to ship it to you. It's paid. You will have to pay for that sample. Normally, it's a good idea to ask for 2 samples, one for you and one for your procurement company or your agent or someone who will later go and do inspections. Well, I will talk about that right now after contracts. Let's say you got, normally those samples come by air, so you will have them very quickly. In a week or so, you will already have your sample and you can, see that what you ask for is what you get. Color, textures, dimensions. Let's say you're going to buy wood. What type of wood are you getting? Is it the quality? Is it thickness? Is it thin enough? Let's say it's batteries. Is the voltage the correct one that you need? Is it going to be plastic? What type of plastic? So all these factors you will see only if you have a sample with you. And if something happens later on, you will have that sample that will help you. And then you can go and check your contract, right? So after you have your sample, you do the contract. You make sure that every part signs that contract and that every single specification that we talked about before is going to be there. Very, very clear. Make sure that everything is in there. It's going to be centimeters, it's going to be wherever you need to know, have to be there. Everything. Sometimes you ask for, let's say, a yellow color to be then the color of whatever you're going to bring. And they said, yes, color yellow, it's fine. And then you get an orange, golden kind of pale yellow, who knows? So make sure that those specifications are in that contract. So we found our product, we are happy with the sample, we sign our contract, payment time. So normally we do 30% upfront after we sign the contract, right? And then when the woods are ready and you can see them and you will make sure that you're going to inspect those, you're going to pay the 70%. Let's stop for 1 second. If you're going to do your woods through Alibaba, you have to make sure that you're going to be using the trade and insurance that they have. Make sure you have it, especially if the first time. If something goes wrong with the contract, if something goes wrong with the woods, you can get your money back, and you won't lose. You will lose only time, not your money and the products. You will get them back. How are you going to pay that? Normally, they will accept credit cards, PayPal, and international wires. Many decades ago, we did a letter of credits. That doesn't work anymore. PayPal, it's expensive for you, so I will just stay away from that, and credit cards. Best practice is to go with an international wire. You can go to your bank, talk to your banker. Normally they will cost $35 to do one. Maybe you have a business plan and they will give you, it's free if you do 10 a month, something like that. So you have to go and talk to your banker and see what they do for you. And then before you pay that 70%, you will inspect those woods. It can be in person and it can be online. How are we going to be doing that online? Well, remember WeChat. We'll use WeChat. We see the room with our merchandise. We start asking, can you please open that box? Can you please open the box next to it? Can you please take it out? Can you turn it around? So that's a way to do it. You can do it directly with them, or you can hire an inspection company. Normally, it will cost between $150 to $200 to someone go and get inside the company and do the inspection for you. With them, you will use the WeChat, WhatsApp, Zoom, whatever video technology you have in place, right? So if you had those two samples that I told you about, they will have one. So they can compare apples to apples and see that really what they're giving you is what you want. I know so many horror stories about containers that come empty, or half of the merchandise, it's what the client asked for, half is not. If you ask only for a blue item, maybe you will have half blue and the other ones are gray or black. So inspections would really help you be sure that everything is clear and perfect, and what you get is exactly what you want. Okay, next slide. Are we going to good with time?
Yes,
Give me
we're
a
good.
yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, we're good.
All right. So it's time to a little celebration. We have the product, we have the contract, we paid, and now everything is going to go to the ports. It's an amazing experience. If you're in person, which just to see that everything is handling from the manufacturer to the truck, we're going to take it to the port, and then you can get in the port and see the containers. It's like, I get so excited when that happens. So at this moment, you have been already in contact with a freight forward. They will help you with absolutely all the shipping needs, all the arrangements, handling the documentation, the insurance. If you need a license, they will know beforehand, they will let you know. They will do it for you. The permits, the quotas. They know about the tariff and the restrictions. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the freight forwarders in a little bit, but because with them, you also need to do a due diligence, but they are the experts. Even for companies who are very, very experienced, go with a freight forward. It's really a great investment. It will give you so much peace of mind. So yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that freight forwarders are really a go. So in this moment, you will start listening to many strange quotes, FBO, CIF, what is that? So they are called inter terms, right? And they're great because they are standardized. So anyone, in any part of the world will know what they're talking about. So they give you who is responsible for paying what, who is responsible for managing the shipment, the insurance, the documentation. So everything will go really well. So I just wanna, as I said at the beginning, this is the basics, but scratching the surface. There is so much deep information I can give you, but I don't think this is maybe the time. Let me, someone said something. Correct, they're not the same. Thank you. So you will see their icon terms. I was telling you a little bit about it. So for example, FOB, it's free on board. The seller takes the goods to wherever you want them to do. At the beginning, I will go all the way with DDPs. That's you say where you want them to be. So you put the merchant, the seller will put the merchandise wherever you want, not only in the port, after it goes en route, after it comes to the United States, into your warehouse. So we can talk about that in another time. Okay, we can go to another slide. And this is the process, right? So we start with our company, we have the due diligence, and this is where you can start seeing the adding costs. We have someone who will take the goods that you have to the port. Meanwhile, you have your freight forward, you have your customs brokers, you have your customs paperwork, you have your documentation, your licenses, everything in between. You paid your taxes, you know already what they are, and then they go into the transportation that you have decided. And here I want to say something. Sometimes, let's go back again and say that you want watches. That's what you're going to bring to the United States. And you bought 1,000 units. You don't want a container, you don't want 500,000, 1,000. Is it worth it to go by sea or just bring them by air? Even though air is always more expensive because you will, its volume, its weight, its dimensions. It's only 1 week. So in 1 week, you will have your wood with you. So sometimes it's, even though everyone will tell you, go by sea, it's cheaper, it's super cheap. Yes, it is, but you will have your merchandise in 6 months, between 30 days to 60 days. Do you want to wait that long? If you don't have a container, you will have to consolidate your merchandise. That means that many other people will bring their merchandise, and once that container is full, it can be shipped. So it can take a long time. Maybe you're lucky and it will do it in just a few days, but don't say no to planes just because it's more expensive. Sometimes it makes a good idea to utilize them. Maybe you are just bringing from another country, Canada, Mexico, and you can use trucking. So now your merchandise is on its way, it's en route. At this moment, anything that was a mistake was made in those paperwork and documentation, we're done. We cannot fix them. So that's why working with a freight forward, it's great because you know that you have everything in order. If something happened, it will be very difficult to not to say impossible to fix it. Now the merchant side is in the United States. It goes through the same process backwards, right? You use your freight forward, you use your, all the documentation is already done. Custom brokers, they give you a go. Not brokers, the customs, it says perfect. There's everything is in order. You can then get your merchandise out of the ports and directly to a happy buyer, right? That's you, by the way. You're opening your first box and you are very, very, very happy with what you receive. But here I want to say something. If you are bringing a restricted merchandise, that means that you need a permit or you need a license. Most likely, 99% of the cases, you will be inspected by the customs. So make sure that every single document it's fine, it's good. And I think that I will go to say this. If you are going to start this process, don't start with something that needs licenses. And let me give you an idea. What I think that we can go to the other slide and I talk about that. Perfect. And I'm going directly to the restrictions. So let's say you want to bring toys for kids. You can. There's some toys that are banned, prohibited already by the US Customs, but there are some that they need licenses. For example, any toy that's for kids under 3 years old. So many times when we think about licenses, we think only food and beverage or drugs, pharma, right? Firearms. But there are many others that are really not, that are restricted, and that is not, we don't know. How can we know if we don't know? So that's why working with an agent, a consultant, a company that does this for a living, it's a good idea. They will tell a freight forward, right? They know by heart, by bit. So if we do let's say, talking about restrictions and regulations, there are some other articles or merchandise that are prohibited in the United States. For example, bush meat. This is, for those who doesn't know, it's wildlife meat. So those, even if you try, they will get confiscated in the port over there, not even here. So don't even try. And why is that? We want to preserve some stuff here in the United States, right? So there are clear regulations, there are clear rules to what is restricted and what type of licenses they need. There are over 40 agencies in the United States, and the US Customs Border will handle all of them, and they will give you, if you need more information, you can go to their website and see what is prohibited and what needs a license or a permit. Next slide, please. And I didn't want to talk about the harmonized digits. That's complicated. I think we can, I don't think we have too much time. Let's see, we have 15 minutes. So resources. I joined forces with the World Trade Center of the Palm Beach. World Trade Centers are really an amazing way to get connected to another countries. They can guide you to see manufacturers and do due diligence and all that stuff. The American Association of Exporters and Importers is another amazing resource for you at this moment. Embassies and consulates, sometimes they even have lists depending on the industry you want to go. They can guide you there. Of course, chambers of commerce, the International Chamber of Commerce, trade organizations. I use, in my case, thomasnet.com, because most of our clients are, they want big machinery and pumps and water readers. So we go through that. Of course, there is Alibaba. It's huge, but I really won't recommend doing business directly with Alibaba on your first import. After it's fine, but you know, get accustomed to what's going on. Before COVID, the best resources ever for our company, for Samandhel Corp, was the international trade fairs in China. They are in Shanghai, Guangzhou, wherever you want. There are so many. kilometers, 1 million square feet of floor to go and find that product you want. Incredible. Don't think that you're gonna go to a convention center and be done in one day. It will take weeks just to see textiles, 1 week just to see electronics, and even you're not going to be able to see them all. But if you know what are you looking for, you go directly to one of those areas and you most likely will find that product. And the beauty about this in person is that they will give you more information right away. You can go and visit. So if you're planning to go, there's going to be one at the end of this year, and in the coming 2022, I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to be, flying again. Make sure that you book enough time, not only to be in the fair, but to go and visit the factories. That way you will be doing your due diligence yourself with your own eyes. What we do, we have interpreters, we have a chauffeur, so it's easy access. China or Asia can be overwhelming on how big it is, and culture comes into play and different styles of living. It can be very overwhelming. And then after COVID, though these international fairs in person are now online. Beautiful too. It's actually great. You talk to the exhibitors, you can see what they're selling, and you have that contact, and you have that legitimacy of the company exists, really. So then those are great. And the beauty is that direct contact with them. No third parties in the middle. Nothing is going to be missed. It's a great way to go. Last slide, please. All right, so this slide is, I know it can be a lot of information at once, and I know that you're not going to be experts in importing in 45 minutes. And what I like about this slide is trillions of dollars we do in import every year, and same in export. And the beauty is that only 4% of these amounts are done by big companies. So what does that mean for you, my small business friend? That 95% of the import and exports are done by people like you and I, small businesses wanting to expand our businesses, wanting to do something new and grow, because I think that's what at the end we all want to do. So make sure that, don't get intimidated, do your due diligence, study a little more, ask for help, because importing to the US, it's really one of the best markets to break into when you are doing import for the first time. And that's it. I'm gonna check the, oh, please. That's my information. That's my email, that's my website. And I think that we're gonna share the presentation, right? If anyone's want the presentation, we can absolutely do that.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Valentina. This was such an in-depth, thorough presentation with lots of great information, packed with a lot of great tips. And I learned that 95% of our imports and exports, that's in small businesses. That's really encouraging. So thank you. We do have some questions for sure. And yes, I will go back to.
I saw one question right.
Yes. So if you would like, I'll just go through the questions for you. And if there's the one particular question that you wanted to answer, we can go back to that as well. But my job is to make sure you answer all of them that are there. They're all over in the chat.
Okay, let's do our best.
All right, very good. So with the comment about the presentation, So I'm going to actually turn my camera on just so that. All right. So with the comments about the presentation, we will make sure that you get the presentation. It's normally up to the presenter if they want to share the presentation. So if that's okay with you, absolutely, we could have this sent out.
This is presentation for you guys, so it's yours.
All right, wonderful. All right, so let's get to the questions. The first question that came in was asking if you can explain about the U.S.-Canada, U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement, and if there are any other countries that you are familiar with that has a trade agreement with the U.S.
Yes, so that will take a long time. What about the treaties is the taxes, right? And the it's going to be easier in the custom for you to do business with Mexico and Canada. Another one, and it's which I am very much looking forward to, is doing business with the Kingdom of Bahrain. They have a treaty with the US, so there's no taxation. So that's beautiful, right? And then the Kingdom of Bahrain, it's in the is you open the doors to every other country in the Middle East. That makes sense. They are a little smaller, and once you get there, you just expand even further. Let's say Qatar, let's say wherever you think you want to start, Emirates, kingdoms, it opens the door. Mexico is our neighbor, Canada is our neighbor. I mean, it's great in terms of transportation and shipping costs. Bahrain is another player, right? Far away, but still another player. One of the things that we're going to do with the World Trade Center at Palm Beaches and the Kingdom of Bahrain, we are going to start soon. We don't have the information that I can share with you today. We'll do as soon as we have all the details in place. It's about doing a trade mission to Bahrain to go and see businesses that are wanting, not willing, wanting to do business, especially with the Palm Beach area. South Florida, it's in their radar. We share similar weather, similar culture. Bahrain, it's in a beautiful kingdom where women like us have absolutely the same rights as we do here. And doing business there, it's amazing. There's no taxation. I cannot say enough. You can open your own business in Bahrain. You will not be taxed. So taking advantage of this, it's something that I will do for myself, actually. Next question.
All right, very good. Thank you for answering that. And I'm going to try to move, in essence of time, I'm going to try to move quick.
I'm sorry.
No problem. We're just saying we started a little bit later after the hour,
Okay.
so we want to make sure people get at least their questions in and everything. So there's another question. It says, I'm interested to learn a bit about restrictions imposed by COVID policies for most natural products in product imports. So it's COVID policy and product imports.
Yeah, so they got a little stricter. Those are going, now it's lifting again. Now it's, we're going to the normal, now, yes.
All right. So basically you're saying that all the restrictions that were in place prior to COVID, they're coming back into place now, especially for, yes, because
right.
COVID probably, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like a parenthesis for the industry, right?
Okay. All right. We do have one other question. Let me try to start from the bottom so that I get at least the ones that came in first.
I saw one question. Someone wants to import antique car from Cuba, and they want to know if they can do that. No, you can't. Cuba, United States is not doing business with Cuba right now. There are other countries. You can go and look at the US Customs Borders website. Venezuela is another, if you do business with the government. Yemen, Syria, Iraq, Iran. So there's restrictions, and even if you want to, not happening.
Okay. All right, very good point. Because there are countries that are on the restricted list, right? All right, yeah. So there's a question here that says, how do you know what product requires insurance? And then I think there's a follow-up because it's from the same person. And what is the website? So you had mentioned something and mentioned a website, and then they're asking, the first question is, what products require insurance?
Well, you will have insurance for every product, right? And the Incoterms will tell you who is going to pay for that insurance. You want your goods to be insured. Something happens en route, hurricane happens, and ship cargo sinks. What's going to happen to your cargo? What's going to happen to your container? So that's very important. So it's not necessarily to have, but it's really, really a good idea to have it. So it's your money, it's your time, you've been working so hard to get this product to the United States. You don't want to lose it. Sometimes they break. What happens if they break? Who's responsible? The merchant, the manufacturer will tell you, well, we're here, you can buy them again from us. So you really don't want to play with that.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Insurance is important. And even with small businesses, sometimes they tend not to have insurance with just a little part of their business. And that's key as well.
You are so right. And I think exactly because we are small businesses, we have more to lose if our shipment doesn't come. So yes, please do your shipment, your insurance. It's not too costly.
Okay, very good point. Great suggestion. How do we find responsible, dependable merchandise inspectors? Responsible, dependent.
Well, inspectors are easy to find. You can Google. You can use the resources I gave you before. If you're working with a freight forward, they will tell you. Sometimes they have people they can refer to you. In the fairs, you will find companies that are doing inspection for their companies. So that's kind of a service on the side you can find in the fairs. And then exactly the same, right? You ask as many questions as you think you need to get that ideal, not so expensive inspector doing the work. If you cannot go and do it with you can do it with an agent if you're working with a procurement company or an import-export consultant. So most likely they work with people already. Yes, it's an easy kind of job because you really just have to go to the factory. You have permit from us, from the buyer to go and see and inspect the merchandise. So, and that's what they do. They go with the telephones, they take videos, and that's it. What they do. So it's not too difficult.
Okay, so it sounds like they have dedicated merchandise inspectors that can be Googled or found through other resources. That's their job. So you can hire them to go to do the inspections, to go to plants.
And that's normally it's a 200 max per day, right? Oh, unless you have, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of merchandise that you want one by one. Normally, what we do, if we have a really big containers or many boxes, we randomly select which one we're going to open, right? Sometimes we do it directly with the merchandise, the factory, because we have already a relationship with them. So they come to the place and they tell us, listen, all this is yours. Like, perfect. And that happened a few times. Like, we go to inspect and everything is in boxes. Like, you knew I was coming to inspect merchandise before you do the packing. So you know what? We're going to spend the next 2 or 3 days opening all the boxes because I want to make sure that what I did, what I order is, especially when I have a very specific order, let's per se say the water meters, the specifications were, you cannot change them. They need to be exactly as my client needs them to be. If it's blue, it's blue. It cannot be darker, it cannot be lighter. It's exactly that blue. That blue means something for that water meter or whatever it is. So open the boxes. And they get mad. They can get really, really mad with you because you're losing their time. And that's why it's important to have everything in that contract. We are going to inspect merchandise before packaging. And you can also hire someone to be there in the packaging process and wait for that truck who's going to put your merchandise in the truck and take them to the customs. We have followed trucks all the way to the ports because we want to make sure that they arrive exactly as I want them to arrive, right? So sometimes it's not that, maniatic almost, because, it's more loose, but still, you are spending resources, time, energy, and money to have that product as you want. You are the buyer, you have the rights, you're paying for that, correct? So make sure the process, it really goes smooth with freight forward, a broker, an agent, companies that they go and give you that inspecting service for you.
Okay, really quickly, we have two questions that I want to address because I know this comes up a lot. This one, where did the question go? They were asking about buying and selling products. Can you help me find and sell products online on Amazon? I'm
Yes.
looking for the question again. Wait, I'm so sorry.
I am, yes.
Can you guys help to find and sell a product to sell on Amazon? I think that's
absolutely. We do that. We have a really big network of providers in Asia. And that's the main continent we work with, even though we have worked with Europe a lot, Germany, UK, Italy, France. We do a lot of work, as you can expect, with Latin America. We haven't done anything with Canada. I have to make a note for myself. We have done with Mexico, and we are expanding with Eastern, with the Kingdom of Bahrain. So yes, we can help you find the product, and we can help you find the manufacturer you're looking for in the industry you want to start.
Mm-hmm. Do you recommend, as someone that's new to product distribution, would you recommend starting locally before they go to import and export?
Absolutely, yes. That's really smart to do, because import and export, it's a monster in itself. Distribution also. So you want to know that you are killing it here before you start doing something from the outside. So yes, I'll go for it that way. That's very smart.
Okay, great.
Remember, if you don't have your marketing strategy, if you don't have that research first, how can you bring something? You can bring cheese from Italy, you can bring wine from Spain. I wouldn't do that because both need licenses, right? And they're restricted. There's not going to be someone in the port waiting to buy from you, right? It takes time, and you need to know that you have a buyer before you even put that merchandise in the port. You want to know that you will have someone who is going to buy it here if you're selling to a company, or that you have the infrastructure yourself to resell those products. You have your store, you're going to sell Amazon. So you need to have that infrastructure beforehand. You have the goods with you. It can take time to find a buyer. It can take time to find that person who is willing to pay what you're asking for that product. So make sure that you have your business plans in order, you have your marketing strategy in order, that you know what's going to be phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 before even you start looking for that manufacturer and contact them. You can, right? You can, let's say, this is what I will do. go to Alibaba, find the product you want, find the merchandise, ask them for a code, and go from there, because that will give you an idea of the price per unit. Remember, you will not find anything below 500 units. Don't even, I mean, I want to buy 100 pair of shoes. Like, yeah, no, that's not their business. They bulks, right? Containers. The first time I went to China, we went with a client wanted to buy, to do necklaces, right? So we went to the factory, and when we were asking for prices, they gave us like a crazy amount. And what, wow, that's very expensive. And they were like, no, that's a kilometer of the material you are going to use to do your necklace, right? So kilometers, they sell kilometers of whatever you're buying to make one bracelet, one necklace, whatever. So you're not going to find, I mean, if you want to buy something, just, go Amazon and buy it for yourself, right? For in personal use. But when it's commercial, the quantities can be crazy, can be overwhelming to see that you're going to buy 2 million pens. Who is going to buy them? How long it will take you to sell those 2 million pens, right? Before you can buy another container. So make sure that you have that market sales strategy in place, that that when you bring the item, it's going to sell, and it's going to sell well.
Great point. Great point. So what we learned from that is you could start local. You can go and test out, go on Alibaba or sites like those to get quantity information, so that you can at least have a price per unit. So for comparison, and the biggest takeaway here is to have a plan, a marketing plan, a business plan, because any one of my clients know that this is something that they want to ask them, do you have a plan? And we work on that together. Absolutely. Or else
and we know that plan is going to change many times, right? Absolutely. So be open to adapt while it happens, because maybe you wanted to start with fabrics, and then you see that there's so many restrictions that maybe that's not a good idea to start with that, and you start with something else.
Mm-hmm.
And so make sure that, sorry.
We had one other sort of question, comment, and I don't know if you know the answer for it. We are experts in our own fields, and we don't really know exactly everything, right? So someone was asking to distinguish between the freight forwarder and the customs broker, because it's really important that people understand the difference between the two.
Yes, the freight forwarder will do all the documentation for you in where you go and buy and when you bring. The customs brokers works only with that nation of that port in that country per se. So they will do, the customs will do, broker will do the importation, and then you will find another one here to get them out of the port. That makes sense? So it's depending on where you are, where the goods are. So the broker will help you, let's say, in the port in Shanghai, and then another customs broker will help you here in Miami, on Fort Lauderdale, or West Palm Beach, wherever you are bringing that merchandise in the United States. So they help you take the goods out of the costumes, the ports, and transport it, wherever it's going, your warehouse, wherever it's going. And the freight forward will give you everything, documentation, licenses, taxes, everything in between.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for this. There are a few other comments and all that. This topic could go on and on and on, and you and I have talked about this before, and that's why we talked about doing another session, even specifically on doing business with China, particularly, because I know you're all over that. You had even a facility in China, if I'm correct. And
not anymore, because why? There's no way to have that. Yes, it's been 14 years doing business with Asia, procurement for companies who, they're not in the United States per se. They're companies that they don't have the resources, or they're not big enough, or they don't know how to do it, but they want to find products to bring to do their own businesses. So that's a procurement company doing business to another business. We're that purchasing arm of the company when they don't have it in-house.
Okay, perfect. We're going to do one last thing as we wrap up, is just to launch a quick poll. We want to know how helpful this topic was for you. I think that this went extremely well, and I look forward to our next one, but you're the audience, right? So please do. Was this extremely helpful? Was it very helpful? And, whatever you think about it, I'll give you another, few seconds, and then I'll end the poll as I see voting.
I think I'm gonna get like a score in school.
Well, it's good feedback because it's the overall.
Absolutely.
I mean, I learned so much already. So, this is great. And even about trying to do things locally as well, because sometimes we think that we need to just go all out and do import export. People are still voting, so that's why I'm waiting a little bit here.
Yes. I will do a poll. Well, you have it there, like joining another webinar about import export. If they want to go a little more in depth in, how to find what you're really looking for.
I'm going to end the poll now. So 67% said it was extremely helpful and they will be joining other webinars. And then 27% said that it was very helpful. And then we have some other responses here as well. So all in all, I think that's really good. You got the top, what is that? 67, probably top 90 something percent there. So that's it for sure. Our next webinar will be on, like I said, April 1st, and it will be on operational excellence, which we were talking about the customer service experience and how you can optimize customer service experience using collaboration tool. And we have a very versed speaker that's coming on. He's all about technology and he's all about automation. He's a project manager as well. And he will bring a lot to the table for small businesses. That it's the little edge that you need as a small business to really take your business to the next level. Matter of fact, what he's bringing and talking about, Jeff Bezos of Amazon actually practices this. So I'm very excited for that next topic. And I do look forward to everyone joining us again for our program. So this is it for us. And we will join you again. We will see you again our next session. Please do look out for the email. You will be getting the slide. And if there's any last words, anything that you want to say, Valentina, before we end?
Yeah, sure. If you want to contact me, please feel free to do so. We can chat a little about what your expectations are, and we can help you in the future. It will be my pleasure. Wonderful. And to those who didn't find any, information, please let me know what you'd like me to add, so we can have a little more in depth. So I would love to do that.
Perfect. So her information is in the chat. She's also saying, reach out to her if you have questions. If there's something that she did not address, there were a few questions here and there, but for overall, we got the grand scope of everything. So feel free to reach out to us if you have anything else. Thank you and enjoy the rest of Thursday. This one went over a little bit more than usual, but I think it was well worth it. Everyone is still on. Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Sarah. You've been a champion.